Today I'm chatting with Ruth Cleaver from Defined Spaces, who is based in Florida's Space Coast. She grew up in England with 6 siblings, so she learned the importance of organized spaces very early on in life. She started Defined Spaces in 2018 and believes that our home should be our sanctuaries, safe places, and a space to unwind at the end of a long day. Welcome to the show, Ruth.
Hello, Melissa.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you on the show. We connected on Instagram years ago, and it's always great to, chat in real life.
It is. And you've always just been so lovely and approachable, and you've helped me so much. So I really appreciate you.
Yay! I love it. I love seeing the women in the Pro Organizer Bootcamp community just grow and scale and take off and gain that momentum. And I'm always curious, checking in on Instagram. What are they doing now? And all that good stuff. So it's been really cool to watch you blossom. So tell us about yourself and what called you to get into this field.
Well, I'm a mother of 3. I have 3 children. They're all grown up now, 23, 21, and 18. And I worked in banking. I was a banker for 20 years, worked in finance. And I just always loved tidying, sorting, organizing, always did it for years and years and years. And sometimes even when I would be sitting at my desk at work years ago, I would just dream of doing organizing for people. Like I just used to think, gosh, it would be so amazing to go into someone's home and tidy and help them and get things put in the right place, get everything organized beautifully for them. And I literally would daydream about doing that. So it was one of my sisters actually that would always say to me, just do it, just do it. And it was really before a lot of people, it became very popular, before organizing in home was popular. And I even at the time remember thinking, do people actually pay people to do that? And so yeah, she would always encourage me to do that. And then one year I was on vacation with my husband and we were talking about it again. And I was telling him, I'd just been thinking about it so much. I was saying, I really want to do this. I really want to start my own business. And he would just, in the past he would say, okay, okay. And this time he just said to me, okay, do it. And I was like, what? He said, do it. I'll create a website for you. Just do it then. Stop talking about it. Do it. And I was like, okay. And when I came back from that 1-week vacation, I went into the bank and I gave my 2-week notice.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And I just never looked back. I was really scared. I was petrified. I was so nervous, but I just did it. And it's the best thing I ever did.
Yes. Take the leap and the net will appear, right?
Yeah.
That is so cool. That's ballsy. That's how I quit my job too and went full time. It was really similar story. Something happened and I had gone out to visit my dad in Arkansas and I came back to California and I was just so miserable in this job and I was just like, here you go, I'm done. And it was something I'd been, side hustling in for years and years and I was finally just ready. It's like when that clicks off, it's like it clicks off and there's no going back, right?
There's no going back, but it's petrifying as well though, because then at some point you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But then I was like, I can't look back. I can't go back to the bank. This is it.
Yes, it becomes your new reality. And I can never imagine going back, full time in an office.
No.
Yeah. So it became really, really real, really quick, it sounds like. How did you come up with, your business name, your branding? Did that kind of evolve over time or what did that look like?
I think it was with the same sister, my sister Teresa. She would always, I would always be bouncing things back and forth with her. And somehow I can't remember exactly how we came up with Defined Spaces. I think initially I was sort of thinking about doing a lot more sort of home staging and that sort of thing as well. So I thought I didn't want it just to be something organizing, but through time and as my business has evolved, I have realized I do a lot more of the organizing than I do this. I prefer the organizing and the tidying and the decluttering, as opposed to the stage. So that's where the name came from.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, after I had gotten my LLC and all that, then my sister calls me and says, what about ruthless organizing. And I was like, why didn't someone say that before?
That would have been good. That would have been good. But I feel like that's not your personality. Just
I
from
know.
knowing,
Yeah.
like ruthless
It's a
is
bit
like,
aggressive.
yeah, she's gonna come in and she's gonna make me get rid of stuff, you
You're
know?
gonna throw everything away. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
So what are your favorite areas of a home to work on in that case?
My favorite area is the kitchen, definitely, because I feel like the kitchen is the one space that really impacts the whole family at the same time. So I love to help people get all the cabinets sorted and tidy. And, biggest thing, that I really try to explain to people and help them see is that, you really need to be able to get everything in and out very easily. You need to be able to see everything. And I really feel, especially, with the parents or the mom in the home, if whoever's doing the most cooking, that sort of thing, it can really drive you crazy when things are not in the right place, when the cupboards are just a mess, everything's piled up, the dishes are high, you can't find anything. So I really feel like the kitchen has the most impact.
Yes, definitely makes the biggest difference in everyday life. I know that's where I spend the most time in my life,
Yeah,
besides,
too.
sleeping. But
Yeah.
so as you started this business in 2018, now we're in 2023, 5 years later, fast forward. I know just in previous conversations with you, you are kind of at that space where it's like, okay, has the line been drawn when it's ready to hire and when
Yes.
I'm ready to start duplicating myself, cloning myself out in the community, finding that, great assistant to work with. So tell us about your journey to kind of getting to this point. Like, how is all that feeling?
I just really am getting to the stage now where, I mean, I am sort of booked out a few weeks in advance pretty consistently, which is nice. I would say usually, when I speak to somebody who's interested, we're giving them a date of like a month from now, usually. Because my typical work days are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I have Monday and Friday as my fillers. So that's sort of admin and a catch-up day if I need to pop back to somebody's house to finish something or something like that. I've just found that I really need that space in there. So I just feel like hiring another organizer to work with me would be just really beneficial to being able to get those spaces done a little faster. Because, before I would always think, oh gosh, if there's more people, then it's going to cost people, the clients a lot more money. It's going to be really expensive, that sort of thing. But no, I've actually realized that having an additional person with me would be probably more beneficial and more efficient, and it would be cheaper for the client as well. So not only are they going to get their spaces done sooner, and in less time, they're going to have two people there to finish it. It would definitely be more economical for them.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think just even as an organizer, it's such a relief when you can actually take a day off or you can
Yes.
have, a vacation or travel out of the country, God forbid, how often are we able to do that as business
Yeah.
owners anymore? And even just
Yeah. Right.
having
Sorry.
help, like
Yeah.
having someone to, I just remember when I first found my really good fit assistant, it was just this like magical feeling of, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can ask for help. And I think as women, maybe we don't ask for help as much as we probably could or should.
I agree.
Yeah. And having that assistant on those very first few jobs, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do everything. I don't have to carry the weight of this session all on
Right.
my shoulders. I
Yeah.
can ask her, hey, can you break down those 10 Amazon boxes we just unpacked? Or hey, can you,
Exactly.
it's just a really cool feeling to be like, wow, someone's here for me and being held in that.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel right now, because before I would just even think, no one can do it like me. No one's gonna, it's me, they can't do what I do. As arrogant as that sounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that you just have to realize there are other people that are really passionate about it, and there are other people who love organizing, because I do feel it is a calling. Like it's not everyone can do what we do. But there are people that want to do that but don't want to own their own business too, which it took me a long time to realize that as well, because I thought, well, who's going to work for me? I mean, why wouldn't they just work for themselves? But there are people who don't want to own a business, so it took me a while to realize that.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. That was my exact situation with my first assistant. Was, she didn't want to have an LLC. She didn't want to pay all the,
Right.
the business insurance and the business license and the business banking and the QuickBooks and the mileage and all that. That can be really overwhelming for people that
Agreed.
just want to do this 2 days a week. Maybe they're a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mom and now their kids are, off in school, and those are always the best, I feel like, because then there's not that weird dynamic of like competition, like, are they going to steal my ideas and go open their
Yes.
own thing or whatever, which I never came across in all of my hiring. I never came across anyone that did me dirty or was shady or anything
Yes.
like that. Everyone was always just like such a soulmate,
Yeah.
contractor or employee,
Yeah,
just the best
that's what
people.
I want. My organizing soulmate.
Gotta manifest it. And it sounds like you're
Yes.
there. It sounds like you're almost on that cusp of like
Yeah.
starting to put that energy out there. Okay, I don't have to, keep, and we all think that, by the way. I know you said that sounds arrogant to think no one can do it like I do. We
Yeah.
all think that way. Literally every organizer I've ever talked to has
Yeah.
those same thoughts because it's your secret sauce, it's
Yes.
your secret special way of doing things. It's the way your brain works. It's the way that you're incorporating all of your different life experiences as a wife, as a mother, as a mother to 3 under the age of 5 at one point in your
Yeah.
life. Like,
Yeah.
what's going to work versus how I would know how that would work because I've never been there. So we all have our special flavors, but adding in another flavor to your flavor doesn't make it any less good.
So I understand that now, and you've actually really opened my eyes to that, especially when you were explaining before to me about, you know, someone who's got kids in school that might want to do it, or someone who's an empty nester, that sort of thing. Again, someone who just doesn't want the burden of owning a business. So I'll let you know when I find the right person.
And in the meantime, it's great that you're structuring your week. I love that you're
Yes.
setting those boundaries, you're sticking to your schedule, because I think burnout, on that same note of, as women, as organizers, as perfectionists, I feel like we don't necessarily ask for help as much as we could. And the fact that you're structuring your week that way is already setting you up for success and less of burnout, right? We don't want to burn out before we even grow and scale and start hiring a team.
I agree, and I also think that sometimes when you in the beginning too, when you start, you think I've got to be working, I've got to be working, I've got to be working every day, work, and that's what I did too. And I put so much pressure on myself too that I was enjoying the job while I was on the job, but when I got home, then I was just so overwhelmed because it is physically taxing as well. A lot of people may not realize that too. I mean, it's exhausting work. It's fantastic. I love it. I'm I'm euphoric when I leave people's houses, to see what we've done and what we've accomplished, but I'm exhausted too, and a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realize that it can be, up and down ladders, in and out of the car, boxes, up and down in the cabinets, it's a lot of work. It's great, but it is,
You got to be relatively fit, I think.
yeah,
And it also makes you fitter. So what's funny is when
yeah,
I first went full time, when I, did what you did and I put in my 2 weeks resignation notice and I was like, okay, I'm out of here.
yeah,
I had been competing in CrossFit at the time.
yeah,
And when I went full time in organizing and I was burning myself out and, going crazy, I have to work. I was the exact same as you in that regard. I actually stopped working out because the organizing was my workout at that point. You're deadlifting heavy boxes or you're push pressing, stuff into a pantry up high and things like that. It really is a workout. So yeah, I think knowing that and knowing your body needs rest is
yeah.
huge too.
Oh yeah, sometimes if I've been in someone's house and I've been up and down a ladder, the next day I can really feel it in my legs and my back, like, gosh, I was down a ladder yesterday about 30 times.
All the squats, all the
Yeah.
glute
Yeah.
the other thing too is, emotionally, if you're working with someone that has gone through maybe a death in the family, or you're working with someone that has experience some sort of loss. Maybe it's a divorce, or maybe it's, just they're an empty nester now, right? And the loss comes in many different forms. But I think sometimes when we're working with those types of clients, I know for me, I would leave, and yes, I would be euphoric and I'd be so excited about what we accomplished, but I'd also feel so drained, just like emotionally.
I know. And it really does, you're right, Melissa, it really does affect you as well. And it can really be difficult, in those situations too, because you do sort of carry that with you, and you do feel the pain that that person is going through as well. And it is hard. I mean, I lost my sister, which was the worst thing could have ever possibly gone through in our life. And that was, when I think about the people that I work with too, even for myself and my other sister, when we had to, go through her things and that sort of thing, it's very hard. And it does, I've gone through other things with clients where somebody has been sick, or a bereavement, that sort of thing too. And it is, you're trying to help them see that unfortunately this is something that has to be done. You have to sort through things. But yeah, it is taxing. It can be very emotional too.
Yeah, I know you and I chatted months ago about, just this new idea of Swedish death cleaning, and, really preparing for, preparing to not burden others.
Burden the others, correct. Yeah. I think about that a lot, especially even with my own stuff, and I just think it's a lot for somebody when they've lost a loved one, to have to sort through their items, to have to sort through their personal things, even clothes, having to do that stuff. It is very, very difficult. And I think it's becoming a lot more popular now, for people to try and make sure those things are taken care of. I mean, obviously the personal items, it's difficult, but I think people are becoming a lot more aware of, trying to make things easier on their family and that sort of thing. I mean, you can't always plan for it. You can't always be like, I best get rid of my stuff before I die. But it really does put things in perspective too, as far as the amount of stuff I have, or and things like that. As it just makes you realize that it's just stuff, and it's you don't want to have to bog people down with it.
Yeah, you can't take it with you, right?
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I think it takes a very special type of organizer to be able to work those types of jobs. Or, I mean, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine
thank you.
losing a sibling. And it sounds like, I mean, the fact that you guys had 7 of you, the fact that, I'm sure that you were all very close and fighting through life together.
Hard. We just never thought, you just never imagined that could happen to us. But
yeah. And I think now that you've had that life experience, it makes you so much more empathetic and compassionate for clients that you might come across. In my experience, I've had a few folks reach out to me in recent years about jobs like that. I had one that she had a teenage daughter that passed away, which, losing a child, I can't imagine. And I actually really thought about it after the consultation and everything. And I had to decline the job because I didn't feel like I was going to be the right organizer with integrity to go through that journey with her, and so I helped source some different types of organizers and, got her the help she needed. But I think it really takes a special person to work those types of jobs. Yeah.
It's hard, but it can bring so much relief to a person though too. It is painful to go through it, but when it's done and then you've had help to get it taken care of, it can just make such a big difference. I know. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate so much of what you've shared on today's episode, and I know that folks are going to be checking you out on Instagram and all the things. Ruth is at definedspaces.net if you want to check out her awesome website. She has some amazing headshots and lifestyle photos on there. And then her Instagram, I know that you've been doing a ton of reels lately, which I always
I'm trying, girl.
So she's defined spaces _organizing on Instagram. And Ruth, any parting words for some advice that you might have for newbies in the organizing industry?
the only thing I can say, if it's really inside you and you are yearning to do it, and you just have a feeling that this is the thing for you, because you're not, I mean, that's how I felt. It was just a burning desire, as cliche as that sounds, but I was just dying to do it. So you've just got to do it. Just do it. Just do it. And I know that's easy for me to say to people, but I mean, I was so scared. I mean, I still am scared. Even today, I was going off on a job, and sometimes I still get nervous when I'm going to someone's house, because I start getting those little things in my brain like, oh, I hope I do a good job. I hope they like what I do. I hope I'm able to serve them in the way that they need help. And I do every time. I just, I love it. I just love it so much. And it's such a great feeling. So if you really feel like that's something you want to do, you've got to share your gift and help people. That's what I say. Do it.
Yes.
And also, if you need help, Melissa is the #1 girl to help you.
Thank you for the plug here.
She'll walk you through everything.
I love what your husband said too. I love that story of, you'd been daydreaming about it in your cubicle in banking, financial kind of more sterile industry for over 20 years. You've been talking about, and finally he's like, okay, Bruce, go do it.
Yeah, I almost was like, no. Because before it would probably, I felt like if I talked about it or suggested it, he would just be like, okay. But when he actually said go and do it, then I was like, oh my God, now what?
Yep. Now it's real. Now we got to make a plan. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been such a joy getting to know you and learning more about your business on this podcast. I'm sure our listeners will get awesome value from it. And thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I loved it.